Why, hello, everybody. How is all my wonderful subscribers doing? I hope everybody's having a wonderful day. It's Nicky D, and welcome back to the Nicky D channel. Today, we're going to be talking about my top 10 favorite female WWE gimmicks. Don't forget, like, share, and subscribe so that you can be informed of when I drop my next video. Let's get into it. Number 10. Sasha Banks, the boss. Sasha Banks was drafted to Raw in 2016, where she won the women's title from Charlotte Flair on July 25th. Most of her title reigns didn't last long, as about 4 weeks later she lost the belt right back to Flair at SummerSlam. She was granted a rematch on the October 3rd edition of Raw, where she defeated Charlotte Flair to win her second championship. Then she competed with Charlotte Flair in the first ever women's Hell in a Cell match, where Flair won the title back from Banks. In 2018, Sasha Banks teamed with Bayley and won the women's tag team titles as the Boston Hug Connection, but while losing those belts to the Iconics at WrestleMania 35. Sasha Banks' run as the boss showed that she was dominant and unique at that time. Number 9. Beth Phoenix, the Glamazon. Beth Phoenix started on Raw on July 9, 2007, and like Victoria and the dominant women that became before her, she was a dominant female, where she won the Divas Battle Royal at SummerSlam of that year, but while going on a feud with Michelle McCool, where she would win the women's title at No Mercy, defeating Candice Michelle in a 2 out of 3 falls match to retain that women's title. She ended up defending it against Melina at Armageddon. She lost the title at Judgment Day's pay-per-view in a triple threat match after Mickie James pinned Melina, and the Glamazon's rivalry with Melina continued as they competed in the first ever women's I Quit match. Beth Phoenix's run as the Glamazon was one of the most dominant runs we had during the time period of the late 2000s and early 2010s, and it was extremely entertaining. That's why it makes it on this list. Number 8. Asuka, the Empress of Tomorrow. Asuka debuted in 2015 in NXT, and it wasn't long before Asuka became NXT Women's Champion by defeating Bayley at TakeOver Dallas. After that, Asuka defended the championship against superstars like Bayley, Mickie James, Billie Kay, Peyton Royce, Nikki Cross, and even defeated Ember Moon at TakeOver Orlando. A few months later, she had gotten injured at NXT TakeOver Brooklyn 3 and had to relinquish the NXT Women's Championship without ever suffering a loss. Her reign was 510 days at that point, as she debuted on Raw in 2017. And when she debuted, the undefeated streak ran right with her. She went undefeated in 2017 and 2018, where she won the first ever Women's Royal Rumble match to book her ticket to WrestleMania 34. Unfortunately for the Empress of Tomorrow, at WrestleMania 34 is where her undefeated streak would end, losing to Charlotte Flair for her first loss in WWE, a streak that lasted 914 days, unprecedented at the time of Asuka's reign. Number 7. Peyton Royce and Billie Kay, the Iconics. This team is the only team on this list gimmick-wise, but one wouldn't be anything without the other in this scenario. What makes the Iconics unique is the fact of what they did together. They debuted by attacking Charlotte Flair on SmackDown after WrestleMania 34, which allowed Carmela to cash in her Money in the Bank contract that she was holding on to for 287 days. They defeated Asuka and Becky Lynch at Super Showdown on October 6th, and then they went into a feud with Sasha Banks and Bayley, where they won the women's tag team titles at WrestleMania 35. After that, they defended it against teams like Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross, like the Kabuki Warriors, before losing those tag team titles to Bliss and Cross on the August 5th edition of Monday Night Raw. Their reign was 120 days long, but they were beginning from the time they debuted until the time they had left WWE. Number 6. Carmela, the Princess of Staten Island. Carmela started out her WWE endeavor managing Enzo and Big Cass, but while being drafted to SmackDown in 2016. When she got to SmackDown, she feuded with superstars like Nikki Bella, and she had about a 3-month feud with her that ended at the Tables, Ladders, and Chairs pay-per-view of that year. Then she would go on an adventure with James Ellsworth, and she would win the first ever women's Money in the Bank match in November of 2016, she ended her alliance with James Ellsworth, and then about 4 months later, on the April 10th edition of Friday Night SmackDown after WrestleMania, she cashed in after holding the briefcase, like I just said, 287 days on Charlotte Flair to become SmackDown Women's Champion. She defeated Flair at Backlash, but then she lost the championship to Charlotte Flair at SummerSlam. Her title reign was 131 days long, and that loss to Charlotte Flair at SummerSlam put an end to the Princess of Staten Island. Number 5, Rhea Ripley, Mommy. Rhea Ripley joined the Judgment Day on May 8th and helped Edge defeat AJ Styles on an edition of SmackDown. Then Edge, Damian Priest, and Rhea Ripley defeated AJ Styles, Finn Balor, and Liv Morgan at the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view. Judgment Day eventually turned on Edge and got Finn Balor, and then Judgment Day recruited Dominic Mysterio from the Mysterios, and Mommy was born. At that point, Rhea had helped Finn defeat Edge in an I Quit match, but they won a feud with the OC. I've talked about it in previous videos about Rhea Ripley winning the 2023 Royal Rumble from the number 1 spot and then going on to defeating Charlotte Flair at WrestleMania 39 to become SmackDown Women's Champion. She still holds the SmackDown Women's Championship at the time of this recording, which is why Mommy can go even higher on this list in years to come. Number 4, the man, Becky Lynch. The man, Becky Lynch, following the 2018 Money in the Bank pay-per-view, went on a huge winning streak after beating Billie Kay, Sonya Deville, Peyton Royce, Mandy Rose, and even the SmackDown Women's Champion Carmela in a non-title match. She would go on to have a feud with Charlotte Flair, but for about 10 days before Survivor Series, Nia Jax broke her face open and the man was born. Becky Lynch was scheduled to have a match with Ronda Rousey at Survivor Series, but because of that, Becky Lynch was not cleared to compete. Becky Lynch, when she returned, she ended up losing the title to Asuka at the Tables, Ladders, and Chairs pay-per-view thanks to Ronda. And then Flair, about 2 months later, defeated Asuka to become SmackDown Women's Champion, which set up the stage for WrestleMania 35, where Becky Lynch defeated Charlotte Flair and Ronda Rousey to win the Raw Women's Championship and the SmackDown Women's Champion, becoming Becky 2 belts. Number 3. Bianca Belair, the EST. Bianca Belair debuted in WWE and NXT in 2019, where she was part of the women's NXT team at Survivor Series that defeated Raw and SmackDown. In the 2020 Royal Rumble, she lasted 33 minutes, and she was on the main roster where she debuted at WrestleMania 36. She was drafted to SmackDown in the 2020 draft, and in the 2021 Royal Rumble, she lasted 56 minutes and won the 2021 Royal Rumble, where she would go on to WrestleMania and win the SmackDown Women's Championship from Sasha Banks at WrestleMania 37. She would retain against Bayley at Backlash in the Hell in a Cell match, and then at SummerSlam, Becky Lynch would make her return, and Bianca Belair would lose the title in 26 seconds thanks to the Manhandle Slam. Number 2, Liv Morgan, the juvenile delinquent. Liv Morgan started her WWE career as part of the Riot Squad with Sarah Logan and Ruby Riott, where they would attack Becky Lynch and Naomi on SmackDown. Liv Morgan participated in the first ever Women's Royal Rumble, and she was drafted to Raw in 2018. She has been in 2 Elimination Chamber matches, but the Riot Squad and Liv Morgan still have a bond to this day. that I wouldn't be surprised if they had reunited at one point in the future. The juvenile delinquent won her first WrestleMania match in 2020 when she defeated Natalya. After that, she would go on to capture the Money in the Bank and SmackDown Women's Championship 2 years later, solidifying herself as a championship contender. Number 1. Alexa Bliss's creepy gimmick. What else could it be? All of you subscribers know that I'm a huge fan of The Fiend and The Undertaker and the horror side of WWE, so it wouldn't surprise you that this sits as high as it does. The creepy gimmick began when Alexa Bliss was attacked by The Fiend and put in the mandible claw on the July 31st edition on SmackDown and was put in a trance by The Fiend over the months to come. They were almost like a couple package, Alexa Bliss and The Fiend. And Alexa Bliss would have a feud with Randy Orton, where at one point in the feud, she blew a fireball into Randy Orton's face, and Randy Orton had to wear a mask for a couple of weeks, but about 6 weeks before WrestleMania 37. And at WrestleMania 37 was where Alexa Bliss turned on The Fiend and allowed Randy Orton to defeat The Fiend. And following that Raw, she had stated that she no longer needed The Fiend anymore, and she introduced the Lily Doll as she would go into a feud with Shayna Baszler and Charlotte Flair in her Alexa's playground. And that was my top 10 favorite female WWE gimmicks. Don't forget, like, share, and subscribe. I really hope everybody's enjoying the content that I'm doing, and I will see all of your beautiful faces in the next video. Bye, everybody.